DETV News is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.
Affordable housing gets a huge boost in Newcastle County this week.
Plus, Dover International Speedway is offering people a chance to drive laps on the famed Monster Mile.
And change is coming to the Delaware Department of Education. Those stories, along with weather and sports, are coming up. Hello and welcome to DETV News. I'm Lauren Wilson.
And I'm Matt Ford. Thanks for joining us today. Topping our news today, a whopping $55 million has been earmarked for affordable housing in Newcastle County. On Monday, leaders gathered at a redevelopment project on Wilmington's east side to announce $26.4 million in Federal American Rescue Act funds to complete work in 2 years. It was expected to take 20. The project, called Imani, will contain 600 units of mixed-income housing along with education, healthcare, and social services. Reach Riverside broke ground on the project about 2 years ago and received $13 million in Governor Carney's latest budget. Logan Herring, the CEO of Reach Riverside, says this latest infusion of federal dollars will help speed up the turnaround of a long-neglected neighborhood. A mom of 2 girls who lives in Riverside says she sees new housing as a new start for her family.
It's going to be great, especially with the kids running around. I don't want them breathing in whatever's in between them walls now. It's going to mean a lot for me and my girls.
In more news on the housing front, Newcastle County and federal officials announced $30 million in federal funds will go towards affordable housing throughout Newcastle County, in particular unincorporated areas of the county.
Too often folks see affordable housing as a unique problem for the poor and the homeless, when quite frankly there are multitudes of working class people in Newcastle County and beyond just need a little bit of help to be able to move into a home.
County Executive Matt Meyer says the lack of affordable housing was the #1 issue people mentioned on a website set up to solicit ideas from county residents on how pandemic funding should be spent. The county funded projects in line for the money have not yet been identified.
Also today, Governor Carney announced Dr. Susan Bunting is leaving the helm at the Delaware Department of Education. The state's top educator will step down in December. Bunting served in public schools for nearly 5 decades. She was confirmed as Secretary of Education in 2017. She spent 40 years in the Indian River School District, starting as a teacher before climbing the ranks to superintendent until she joined DOE. She hasn't announced her next steps, but indications are she intends to remain involved in training educators and development. Her successor has not yet been named.
Pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca will pay more than $500,000 in back pay and interest after a routine federal audit uncovered alleged race and gender-based pay discrimination. The drug company owes 318 employees back pay and interest. A routine compliance check by the U.S. Department of Labor found female and Hispanic workers were paid a lower rate than others in similar positions. As a federal contractor, AstraZeneca must follow all regulations, including those governing fair pay. The company entered a contract recently for COVID vaccine development worth $1.2 billion.
A quick update on Restore the Corridor. Those driving on I-95 may have noticed exit 7A is closed, and DelDOT says the Delaware Avenue exit will remain closed until November 21st, pending good weather. While under construction, exit 7B, the southbound ramp, will remain open to serve as a detour. Detour signage will be posted for motorists traveling to 11th Street and Delaware Avenue South. For additional information and to sign up for email and text mail alerts, go to restorethecorridor.com.
Newark police say a 45-year-old man was charged with entering a woman's house through an unlocked door and physically assaulting her while robbing the home. According to police, Peter Schiavo entered the woman's home in the 300 block of Linney Lane around 9:30 Monday morning and pulled the victim out of the chair while allegedly trying to strangle her. The woman reportedly followed Schiavo as he ran to his car with her belongings and dragged the woman a short distance before she let go of the car. Schiavo was later found, arrested, and charged with half a dozen offenses. The victim is said to be shaken but uninjured.
And terrifying moments over the weekend for a North Wilmington woman. At around 10:30 Saturday night, police were called to the 400 block of Brentwood Drive in the community of Carcroft Crest. A 48-year-old woman told investigators she was home alone when she saw someone standing inside a doorway of her home. She told police she ran out of the house to her neighbors to call for help. Officers went through the home and didn't see anyone, but did discover the suspect likely found his way into the house through an open first-floor window. The investigation is active, and if you have any information regarding the incident, you are urged to contact Newcastle County Police at the number on your screen.
A 73-year-old man sitting in his car at a Claymont supermarket was carjacked last weekend. That's according to Delaware State Police. The man was alone in his gray 2020 Hyundai Sonata shortly after 9:30 at night in the Food Lion parking lot on Philadelphia Pike when the suspect opened the driver's side door to the car and demanded his keys. Police say when he refused and fought back, the suspect attacked him. Investigators say the victim was overwhelmed when two other men entered his car from the passenger side and pulled him out of the car. Police say 3 men drove away in the car. It was found the following day. The man suffered minor injuries and did not want medical attention at the scene. Anyone with information is urged to call State Police. The Indian River School District Board of Education violated the open meetings law over the summer when it held 2 votes on masks, the Attorney General's office ruled. In August, the board voted no confidence in Governor Carney over his mandate requiring all students wear masks to school. A second vote was passed to send a petition to the Secretary of Education urging the mask mandate be reconsidered. Attorneys for the Department of Justice found Indian River did not give proper notice to the community. The district argued they met standards of the law because the votes followed a discussion of a related item on the agenda. But the DOJ ruled that agenda item was too vague. It's not clear if the school district will face any penalties as a result of the violation.
A check from Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield Delaware may be on its way to you, and it may be for a lot of money. Insurance Commissioner Trinidad Navarro says Highmark is rebating $12.1 million to Delaware residents and those who buy small group insurance. Over 20,000 people will split more than $8.4 million. That's an average rebate of about $400. The rebates exist because of a requirement for insurers to spend at least 80% of the premiums on healthcare services of policyholders. Navarro said the rebates are calculated on a 3-year average, but policyholders decreased and delayed the use of healthcare throughout the pandemic, and that's why the rebates may be coming your way.
A 36-year-old school bus driver for the NEWARK charter school allegedly fell asleep behind the wheel with a bus full of children on Monday, hitting 3 parked cars. Police say the driver, who was not identified, fell asleep as he was pulling into the school parking lot shortly before 9 a.m. on Monday. Reports indicate the driver was not speeding or impaired, and none of the 37 elementary and middle school students aboard required hospital treatment, but a school nurse did tend to 18 of the students at the scene. Charges are pending against the driver, who was uninjured in the crash.
We're going to take a quick break for a look at the weekend weather forecast. You're watching DETV News. Stay with us.
As soon as I got here, I just felt the warm embrace of the community, man. Like what y'all got going on is wonderful. And no wonder y'all called the work group, because y'all putting that work in. For real, seriously, y'all getting the work done.
We are committed to creating the best Riverside we can with the community, for the community.
Government doesn't make a move without an agenda, some type of plan. The problem is we haven't been on the agenda. Sometimes we're overlooked. Sometimes our interests aren't the interest of those in power. I'm your host, Kerwin Gaines, on DETV's new show, The Agenda. We're going to do our best to ensure that you, Delawareans, are knowledgeable about what's going on in the Assembly. Federal government, local government, it doesn't matter. We're going to do our best to ensure that folks that make the agenda on a daily basis have to answer for it. Let them explain what they're doing. If it affects you, it's on the agenda.
After a 30-year career with the Newcastle County Police Department, Vaughn Bond Jr., the department's chief of police, retired. With tears in his eyes, Bond left the police headquarters in what is called a walkout ceremony last week. Friends, family, fellow officers, and first responders said goodbye with cheers and applause as Bond walked out of the building. But it's likely not to be his final time. The former top cop will now become the Director of Public Safety for the county. Bond rose through the ranks to become the first African-American police chief for Newcastle County.
DART will be putting 6 more electric buses on the streets. That will bring the public transit's fleet of electronic buses to a total of 26. The eco-friendly buses were made possible thanks to a $3.5 million grant from the Federal Transportation Authority. The additional electric buses make up 10% of DART's entire fleet.
Students gathered outside of schools throughout the region Wednesday to celebrate 100 years of school safety patrols. Current and past safety patrollers attended ceremonies at the Lulu M. Ross Elementary School in Milford to raise flags and hear from students who have served as safety patrollers. The first ever fall festival hosted by Wilmington Flower Market has been called off. Organizers planned a mini fall festival featuring mums, pumpkins, and other fall-related themes. The event was scheduled to take place on October 14th and 15th, but the sudden death of the organizer's co-chair, along with the pandemic, forced the cancellation. Fans of the flower market will recall the pandemic also forced the cancellation of last spring's centennial celebration. Organizers say they'll now focus on this upcoming spring for the 100th celebration. It's scheduled to take place on May 5th through the 7th at Rockford Park. Proceeds benefit children's charities in Delaware.
It was a good day to go down on the farm for 8th grade students in the Colonial School District. After taking a year off due to the pandemic, students were back at Penn Farm in Newcastle, the only student-run farm in the state. The kids got a chance to do ag-related activities like planting garlic and learning more about life on the farm. Teacher Karen Ferrucci was glad to see the students back at Penn Farm, saying for many of the suburban kids, it was a first-time opportunity.
We really like to give the kids the full farm experience. And you're correct. Some of them have never touched an animal or even seen one of these animals up close. But they've also never stepped foot on a farm, and they've never planted anything in the soil or grown their own items. So these kids today here will be planting lettuce and garlic that will be utilized inside in meals that they'll be eating throughout the school year.
The Delaware Healthcare Association launched its Thank a Nurse campaign, which will run all month. Many hospitals, healthcare facilities, and organizations across the state are taking part in the initiative. The Delaware Healthcare Association says the motive for the campaign is a response to the long hours and hard work nurses have put in over the course of the pandemic. Stay with us for your latest local sports scores. They're coming up next after the break.
Auto accident, medical negligence, work injury. Contact Team Tice, your Delaware personal injury lawyers. Leroy Tice in Wilmington, Delaware, serving and supporting the people of Delaware. Call 302-489-2400. That's 302-489-2400. Online at teamtice.com.
The Delaware International Speedway is offering up an extra incentive for vaccinations. The Race to End COVID is scheduled for next weekend, October 16th and 17th. Anyone 16 and older who gets vaccinated at the track on those dates has the chance to drive their own car or truck on the famous 1-mile track known as the Monster Mile with pre-registration. Up to 800 drivers with valid driver's licenses and their passengers will take 2 laps behind the track's pace car. The drive includes making the 24-degree turns on the speedway, and free vaccinations will be available to thousands of people during this event, as well as free testing. The first 250 people to register to be vaccinated with or without driving the track will receive 2 tickets to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Dover's International Speedway on Saturday, April 30th of next year. For more information and to pre-register, visit racetoendcovid.org.
October marks the start of flu season, and given the state's ongoing fight against COVID-19, the Delaware Division of Public Health believes it's more important than ever for Delawareans to protect themselves and their loved ones by getting the flu shot as soon as possible. Children younger than 5, older adults, pregnant women, and those who have chronic underlying medical conditions are the most at risk. DPH Director Dr. Carol Rattay says because of the number of flu cases dropped last year, many people think the flu has disappeared. But she says the flu is still a major health threat because it's highly contagious and can be deadly. DPH also wants to remind people that the flu vaccine can be administered at the same time as the COVID-19 vaccine. While DPH no longer holds mass community flu clinics, it will offer flu vaccines at community-based locations where staff are giving COVID-19 vaccines. For more information about where to get vaccinated, visit flu.delaware.gov or call the number on your screen.
Some animals from hurricane-ravaged Louisiana got some forever homes thanks to the Brandywine SPCA and an organization called Wings of Rescue. On Saturday, 90 dogs and cats from Louisiana were delivered to Georgetown, Delaware, and then on to Coatesville, Pennsylvania. It's the second rescue flight made from the state to our region. The animals were available for adoption the next day, and fees were waived on what was the 100th flight by Wings of Rescue.
Not only is it a great life-saving day, this is our 100th flight with Wings of Rescue over the course of 4 years.
A 2-digit Delaware tag sold for just over $280,000 at auction at Rehoboth Beach over the weekend. Emmett Auction sold the tag number 37 to an anonymous buyer. It once belonged to the former chair of the Delaware Realtors Association for Northern Newcastle County. The tag came short of the $410,000 that the number 20 tag brought in about 3 years ago. Delaware is, well, unique when it comes to its affinity for low-digit black vehicle tags. It seems they've become a status symbol for many people in the first state.
And a HOCKESSIN staple announced it will be closing its doors at the end of the year, December 15th to be exact. That's because the owners are moving to California. The bookshelf, which opened in 2002, is known for bringing authors and readings as well as events to the area. Loyal customers express bittersweet messages on social media, wishing owners the best. A new buyer has not been found, but the owners hope someone will reach out to fill the void for local book lovers.
And it was another successful year as Wilmington hosted HBCU Week, when representatives from historically black colleges and universities come to town to recruit students, giving many partial or full scholarships for schools.
The kids are super excited that Delaware State University is here to service them and provide them an opportunity. They're excited, as you can see, how long the line is. So we had to have 2 tables with 4 reps to service all the students who were here.
Hundreds turned out at Frawley Stadium for the culminating event, and it was a popular one. The Battle of the Bands. Marching bands from Delaware State University, North Carolina Central University, and Winston-Salem State University strutted their stuff on the field. There were no winners or losers. The entire event was to celebrate a beloved halftime tradition for HBCUs, and the crowds enjoyed every minute of it.
A popular photographer will sell a pair of pictures near and dear to his heart. Artist Andre Wright Jr. will sell 20 or more of his photos, with 2 featuring his mom. The sale will take place at the MKT Gallery in Wilmington. The show, Wright's first in nearly 14 years, is called Hero and contains photos of many celebrities. The top photographer for Wizard World Comic Con took them during an 18-city tour he recently completed. Wright lost his mother in July, and the show is dedicated to her.
Recently, I just lost my mother in melanoma cancer. So being that I did that happened, I just wanted to make a tribute out to her. And being that the show's called Heroes, she's my #1 hero. This is all a tribute to my mom.
The stark portraits of the Marvel DC comics were taken in color, transferred to black and white, and given a black matte finish for the background. Wright is hosting a public opening on Friday, October 8th from 5 to 9 p.m. The show runs through the end of the month. And a COVID-delayed awards ceremony was held last night in Wilmington. The annual Catholic Charities Tribute Dinner honored Bishop W. Francis MALOOLY and Michael J. HARE. MALOOLY spent 13 years as Bishop of Wilmington. Michael HARE was named Man of the Year in 2020, so he also received his award on Wednesday. Executive Vice President for Development at the Buccini Pollen Group, HARE serves on the Pastoral Council and on the Vocation Admissions Board for the Diocese of Wilmington. He also serves on many other boards as well.
And finally today, a special guest recently paid a visit to Wilmington's public library. Anna Navarro, a CNN political analyst and one of the hosts of The View, drew quite an audience. She spoke about politics, the Hispanic vote, Hispanic and Latin American issues, as well as women in politics. Of course, she couldn't skip one of the most talked about moments in recent talk show history. That's when she received a positive COVID test result live on TV and was pulled from the show. The test was later proved to be false positive. Anna tweeted, "Glad to be in Wilmington, Delaware tonight. After 18 months of Zooms, it's great to speak to fully vaccinated real humans." We hope Anna will come back to visit Wilmington real soon.
I wish I got a chance to see her. I heard she was excellent.
Yes, I understand it was popular, and she's great on The View.
That's good. Yes, I agree.
That's our report for this week. Thanks for watching.
Be sure to stay well, and we'll see you next time.
DETV News is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.